Have you ever walked out of a meeting or conversation feeling like you missed an opportunity to get a better deal but didn't know how to fix it? Negotiations can feel overwhelming, whether it's asking for a raise, closing a deal, or even deciding where to eat with your friends. Often you leave wondering if you could have achieved more. But here's the truth. Great negotiations are not about winning or overpowering the other side. The best outcomes are when both parties walk away feeling like they gained something valuable. In this video, I'll share with you 5 powerful negotiation tactics, including insights from the best-selling book, Getting to Yes, and a bonus tip that you can start using right away to reach better agreements in any situation. By the end of this video, you will have a complete toolkit to master negotiations like a pro. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe for the channel for more insightful videos. And now, let's get started. Many negotiations hit a roadblock because people fixate on what they want rather than why they want it. This is where things start to fall apart. Let's say that you're in a salary negotiation. You are asking for a higher figure and your manager is pushing back, citing budget constraints. On the surface, it seems like an impossible stalemate. But if you focus on understanding each other's interests rather than defending your positions, you can find common ground. You may want a higher salary to reflect the value that you bring, while your manager might be concerned about exceeding their department's budget. By focusing on the underlying interest, your contribution, and their constraints, you could negotiate other benefits like additional vacation days, flexible working hours, or a future raise tied to performance metrics. When you shift the focus from "I want this" to "why do we both want what we want," the entire dynamic changes. You create room for creativity and solutions that work for both sides. And the best way to find common interest is to listen more than you talk. Ask thoughtful questions, stay curious, and pay attention to what the other side is really saying. Often their true priorities will come out naturally when they feel like they're being heard. By focusing on shared interests, you open the door to creative solutions. And speaking of solutions, let's look at another way to keep your negotiations fair and effective. One of the quickest ways for a negotiation to spiral into conflict is when it feels personal. Disputes often arise because each side believes that their opinion is the right one. To avoid this, you have to bring objective standards into the conversation. Imagine that you're negotiating a freelance contract. You feel that the client's offer is too low while they'll think that it's fair. Instead of arguing opinions, refer to market rates, industry benchmarks, or past projects as a neutral basis, saying that according to market trends, similar projects are priced at X, which shifts the discussion from personal opinions to facts. This approach works best when you're negotiating value, whether it's salary, pricing, or even resource allocation. When both sides rely on fair, unbiased criteria, it's easier to find solutions that feel justifiable for everyone. And the bottom line is that objective standards diffuse tension and bring clarity. So instead of debating, you're working together to find the fairest outcome. And now that you understand the importance of objective standards, let's move to a crucial aspect that many people overlook during negotiations: separating the people from the problem. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in negotiations is letting emotions and personal egos take over the discussion. They confuse the person sitting across the table as the problem instead of focusing on the actual issue. The key to successful negotiations is being hard on the problem and soft on the person. Remember that the person across the table is not your enemy, the actual disagreement is. This is important because when conversations are driven by emotions or egos, they can quickly turn defensive. Instead of focusing on finding solutions, people get stuck in arguments, which only makes the whole situation worse. Successful negotiators know how to keep emotions in check, separate the problem from the person, and maintain clarity in the discussion. One way to achieve this is by building rapport with the other side before the conversation even begins. Research shows that getting to know the other person you're negotiating with can increase success rates by 25 to 30%. Having a connection makes it easier to approach the conversation collaboratively. And here's how you can keep emotions out and focus on solutions. Actively listen and acknowledge what the other person is feeling. For instance, you could say, "I see why this situation might feel frustrating for you." Use inclusive language like "we" instead of making accusations. For example, "How can we work on this together?" is far more effective than saying that you are being unreasonable. Keep the discussion future focused, and instead of assigning blame, shift to what steps can resolve the issue moving forward. When you approach negotiations as us working together together to solve a problem instead of me versus you, the dynamic completely changes. It becomes about collaboration and not conflict, and that's where real progress can happen. Next, let's talk about the ultimate fallback plan that can completely change how you negotiate. It's called your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's essentially your safety net in any negotiation. It's the option you rely on if your current negotiation doesn't go your way. And the stronger your BATNA, the more leverage you have in any discussion. Now let's break down how you prepare and strengthen your BATNA with 4 easy steps. List all possible alternatives. Think of every potential fallback option. For example, if you're negotiating for a salary, explore other job offers, freelance gigs, or even staying in your current position. Strengthen your options. Don't just list alternatives, make them stronger. Research market salaries, build relationships with other companies, or update your skills to open up for more opportunities. The better your alternatives, the more leverage you will have. Know your walkaway point. Set a clear limit based on your research. For instance, I want to accept less than X amount of dollars because I found better offers elsewhere. This keeps you focused and prevents you from setting for less than what you're worth. Keep exploring even during negotiations. Don't stop looking for alternatives just because talks have started. Stay open to better deals and continue building your backup options. Having a strong BATNA is not just about confidence. It's about ensuring that you have the upper hand in every negotiation. Once you secure your fallback options, it's time to set the stage for a favorable discussion, and this is where anchoring comes in. Anchoring is about setting the initial offer or reference point in a discussion. This helps because studies show that the first number thrown into a negotiation often sets the tone for the rest of the conversation. And here's how you can anchor effectively. You make the first move. Don't wait for the other side to set the number. Start with a strong, very researched offer that works in your own favor. But also be able to justify this anchor. Back it up with data or rationale. For instance, if you're negotiating for a salary, explain why your experience or skills justify the figure. Also remember to stay flexible because anchoring is not about being rigid. It's about giving the conversation a starting point that benefits you. A good anchor not only sets expectations, but also positions you as a confident and prepared individual. Now, emotions play a huge role in negotiations. A Harvard study found that 95% of our decisions are driven by emotions, even when we think that we are being logical. So if you don't manage your emotional responses, they can quickly derail the discussion. But here are 2 strategies to keep emotions in check during negotiations. The first one is to practice active listening with the HEAR method. The HEAR method helps you stay calm and engaged even in a heated discussion. Hold your response. Resist the urge to immediately jump in with your defense or solution. Instead, focus on truly understanding what the other person is saying. Echo their words. Show that you've been listening by summarizing key points. For example, so what you're saying is, or if I understand correctly, your concern is. Ask questions. Ask more targeted questions to let them clarify their position and intentions. Reflect their emotions. Acknowledge how they are feeling before jumping to solutions. For instance, I can understand why this feels frustrating, or, oh, this sounds like a valid concern. And second, know when to pause. Sometimes the most strategic move is to take a step back. If tensions are running high, suggest a brief break to cool off or schedule a follow-up meeting. This helps both sides to approach the discussion with a clearer mindset. Managing emotional triggers is not about suppressing emotions. It's about acknowledging them and keeping them from controlling the conversation. And for all those who patiently watched the video so far, here's the bonus tip for you. Sometimes the most effective thing that you can say in a negotiation is nothing. Silence is a powerful tool that can shift the balance in your favor. When used strategically, it allows the other party to fill the void, often revealing more information than they intended. For example, after making your offer, resist the urge to keep talking. Instead, pause and let them respond first. Silence can prompt them to rethink their stance or provide insights that strengthen your position. And here's how you can master the power of silence. Pause after key points. Let your offer or counter-proposal settle without immediately justifying it. Stay comfortable. Avoid rushing to fill the silence. Confidence in quiet moments signals control. Use it to reflect. Allow both sides to process the discussion and think clearly. Silence is not about awkwardness, it's about creating space for meaningful dialogue and better outcomes. So there you have it, your 5 proven tactics to get better at negotiation. Let's recap quickly. Focus on interests and not positions. Use fair standards. Separate the people from the problem. Prepare your BATNA and anchor, and manage emotional triggers. And don't forget your bonus tip, use silence to your advantage. And remember, negotiation is not a battle, it's a conversation. By focusing on shared goals, staying prepared, and applying these tactics, you can turn any negotiation into a win-win situation, especially a win for you. So which of these strategies will you try first? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more actionable insights. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.